Hey, nerds, this is David with Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation. There is a story, it is written on our souls, and that all of these myths speak to that story. And that is why every Tuesday I talk about Star Wars and Marvel and DC and Lord of the Rings and whatever nerdy things we can think of with my two sons, Sam and Nate. It is a 30 to 45 minute celebration of all the weirdness that we love so much. Basically, Mom said we couldn't talk about it at the kitchen table anymore, so we decided to start a podcast. We hope you'll check it out. It's on every podcast app out there. Tatooine Sons. That's Tatooine SONS.
Hey guys, it's Mike and Ricky on the Speaking Nerdy podcast, and today we're going to be talking all about our reactions to The Flash.
Flash.
Mike, are you okay over there?
I had a really bad situation the other day at the airport.
What?
I had a bad situation at the airport, okay?
What happened at the airport? I didn't even know you were going to the airport.
Oh, that's how much you care about me. You don't keep up with my social media page. Give me a like or something once in a while. Come on. Now I had to take one of those airport taxis, to catch a flight, and so
Okay.
me and the taxi guy was driving through the airport terminal area, and then suddenly he passed my drop off point, and then I tapped him on the shoulders to let him know. Suddenly he starts screaming and he starts yelling, and then he loses control of the car. We nearly hit a bus. Then we went up on this footpath, and then we stopped inches from hitting this crowd. I mean, and then all suddenly we're like stopped and it's quiet. And for a second, everything was like quiet in the cab. And then finally the driver looked at me and he says, "Man, don't ever do that again." And I'm thinking, okay, I said, he said, "You scared me to death." And I said, "Oh, I apologize." I said, "I didn't realize that little tap was going to scare you. I was scared as well." And then the driver, he replied, he said, "Sorry." He said, "It's really my fault. Today has been my first day as a cab driver." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "I've been driving funeral vans for the past 25 years. So I gave him so I understand. Yeah. But
Oh my
yeah.
God.
So yeah, it was the worst drive I ever had.
It's the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe.
I had no idea where that story was going, and that was not where I thought it would go.
You didn't. Hey.
Oh.
No, your cab driver. That's all I have to say. No, your cab driver. What did you tell the folks? I forget. What did we tell the folks that we're doing tonight? What was that again?
We're talking about The Flash.
Oh, The Flash. You mean the movie that came out, I don't know, a week ago?
Yes.
The one with Ezra Miller and Michael Keaton and the whole gaggle gang that are closing the Snyderverse down?
Yes, that would be
I
that
guess.
one.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll talk about that more, I guess.
Oh my God.
I guess.
Yes.
I don't know. I guess so what do we do at this point? Because we have this structure, we're very well, we're oiled, we're precision tools. And so we usually have this pattern
tools,
that we do.
sure.
We're tools. So
I don't know about precision, but
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. So man, about burned into flames outside, or we're orange. What's the deal with this weather?
Oh my
It's like
goodness,
it's burning
it's so
me
hot.
up. By the way, this is what old people talk about, is the weather first before we do anything else.
Yes.
So
If it isn't hot outside,
yes,
it's rain blowing sideways. That's
exactly
the only two kinds of weather we have right now in Oklahoma.
Man, it's miserable. But anyway, enough of our forecast in the local metro area. So look, I think it's time to do something.
It's time for the nerdy happenings of the week. Was that my voice?
That was your voice. One more time.
I forgot I recorded that.
Yeah.
It's time for the nerdy happenings of the week. Oh my gosh. I completely forgot I had recorded that.
Yeah,
completely.
I had a bunch of them, and I thought, hey, I remember him doing that. So I thought, hey,
That's
we need
so
a little.
funny.
Yeah, so there we go.
So okay, so yes, we have
Yeah.
some nerdy news, nerdy happenings. I'm gonna hold off on box office news, because that really revolves around the Flash, and that's our subject for the night.
Yeah.
Well, as of the date of recording,
Yes,
we're recording on Wednesday, the 21st. This is the release day for Marvel's Secret Invasion. It's the new show that is led by Samuel L. Jackson, and I'm super hyped about it. We're going to talk about it next week, right? We're going to give our first.
Yeah, we're going to give our impressions.
If you want to hear what our thoughts are, check back next week.
Please.
You will get to hear. I'm excited for the show. Are you excited about this one?
I am. Of course, I love Samuel L. Jackson. I mean,
yes,
he's my spirit animal, because I always take on snakes on a plane, so that's kind of my alter ego. But yeah, I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure where this show's going, but I'm super excited. We're going to see Skrulls apparently not behaving well, which isn't normal for the Skrulls in the MCU. Pretty normal for the Skrulls in the comic books.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how this one all pans out. But in other Marvel news, Marvel has announced several film delays.
Oh, man.
And shows, I guess. Actually, these might all be films, but several delays. Captain America: Brave New World. That's the new working title for the Captain America movie, and that will be Captain Falcon. Previously, it was set to release in May, and now it is going to be released in July of 2024. So that has been delayed a little more than 2 months, because it was supposed to be early May, and now it's late July. The Thunderbolts movie, which was originally scheduled to be released on the date that Captain America is now being released, is being pushed all the way back until December of 2024. So goodness. That one, that's like it's almost a 6-month delay there on that one. Blade, which was previously slated to be August of 2024, is now being pushed till February of 2025. The Deadpool movie is also being delayed about 6 months, which we talked about that one recently. We're going to go ahead and start shooting, but they're saying they're delaying releasing it now. So either that's because they expect to have to do a lot of post or reshoots after the writer's strike is over.
Because I can't imagine Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool not being able to ad lib. So
I know.
So
that one does not surprise me at all.
Yeah.
The Fantastic Four movie was originally slated for February of 25. Now, but moving back to May of 25, which, if they do a good job on that movie, makes more sense, because then it will be an early summer movie, and that's kind of the early blockbuster period is in May. Avengers Kang Dynasty, which I don't even know how that one's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That movie has been moved back an entire year, from May of 25 to May of 26.
That kind of puts Marvel in a weird predicament, doesn't it?
Yes. And Avengers Secret Wars. Originally May of 26, been moved back an entire year to May of 27. So, if you recall, I don't remember when this was, but several months ago now, somebody made the comment that Marvel was going to start slowing down their production schedule.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That was
so,
Feige was saying something about that.
right. So I wonder if some of this is that idea of slowing down the release schedule. But my guess is some of the more the sooner coming movies, my guess is those are mostly writer strike issues.
I would assume so.
But Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars both being pushed back a full year, extending their current schedule out, another year.
Yeah.
I feel like that is probably based on the idea that they want to release fewer things each year.
Do you think in this phase of Marvel that do you think Feige and the gang, they're really not for sure worth what they're doing? I mean, what they're doing, like what their vision is, unlike the several first phases that we had where they had they had a consistent long plan compared to what they have now. Or do you think they still have a, pretty firm hand on the helm trying to navigate Marvel through whatever they're trying to do now?
I think it's a good question. I feel like they had a handle on it now, or a couple of months ago. I feel like they had a plan. They had a good handle on it. With the issues that we may be coming up with the actor playing Kang, it's possible that has thrown a big wrench in the plans.
Yeah.
I will say I don't think that. I feel like that Phase 4 didn't really have a good plan.
No,
that they hadn't fully thought out what the next 3 phases should look like.
Yeah.
But they had already slated a bunch of movies, so they went ahead and did them. Because none of the Phase 4 stuff, to me, feels like it really pushed to something in the future. I mean, there were some end credit scenes, but none of them felt like they were connected.
Yeah.
Like if you watched all the end credit scenes from Phase 4, I don't think you would say there's a storyline here emerging.
Yeah, there's nothing, there's not this imminent danger. Yeah.
Yeah, like with Phase 1, almost all the end credit scenes pointed toward the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not necessarily a certain bad guy yet.
Yeah.
But which we all know eventually, what that was all about. But they definitely all pointed toward the Avengers movie. Then as the phases went on, most of the end credit scenes pointed toward the big bad of Phase 3. And that all made sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a little disjointed in 4. I think they had a plan going into 5. But if they lose their Kang, I don't know if they're going to have to recast him. If everything comes out that nothing happened, like his lawyers are saying, then they may be good to go. But if they recast him, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Are they going to, or are they just going to kill the whole Kang idea and come up with another big bad? Which
that's kind of hard to do if all the other movies are hinged on that. So
well, if all the other movies are hinged on a big bad, but they can replace it with somebody else, like Doctor Doom, which I would love.
Doctor Doom.
That's something that's doable. But I don't know what they're going to do. I think they might be in a little flailing. Well, speaking of a little bit of flailing and all those delays, Marvel has also confirmed, or Hollywood Reporter has confirmed, that Marvel Studios won't be going to San Diego Comic-Con for its usual Hall H presentation. So,
oh hell no!
Yeah,
I'm a little unclear as to whether Marvel Studios won't be there at all, or if they simply aren't going to do their big, their big grand presentation that they do every year.
I think it's a mistake that they don't at least represent. I mean, it just don't have to be a big event, but I mean, they have a lot of they have a lot of series on Disney Plus, Loki, and a
lot of things that are coming up that they could
stuff coming up,
at least talk about. I think,
Q&A
so I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what all that looks like, and this seems weird, but how does that tie into the writer's strike?
Yeah,
I mean, do they actually have? This is one of those weird things. There are award shows that they were not sure were going to go ahead because there was not going to be writers for the award show.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, it's an award show.
Yeah.
What do you have to write?
Exactly.
I mean, there are dumb jokes that aren't funny told by people
who are not funny.
Who are not funny most of the time.
Yes.
Who aren't designed to tell jokes.
No.
I mean, how much writing really is there? Just let them come up with their own jokes. It would probably be better.
It would be better.
Or just tell them not to say any jokes. Go out there and just, how about just going out there and presenting an award?
Let's open that letter and tell them what it says on it. Do a little reading rainbow. That's what I'm saying.
That was a big question as to whether the Tony Awards were going to happen this year because of the writer's strike.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, does the Hall H presentation require a writer to come up with the questions that get asked from the stage?
That's odd.
That seems odd, but I feel like it could happen. It could be a thing. But my guess is what's really happening is they feel like everything's being delayed so much that they don't have anything big and grandiose to present.
Gotcha. Well, that's too bad. It's too bad.
Yeah.
Marvel's been the biggest supporter of the fans for showing up and doing stuff. So,
but that is all I have for nerdy news.
Okay, cool.
It's time for the nerdy happenings of the week.
I haven't done the outro yet, but I wanted to play it. So,
did I record one?
Yes, you do. You have a bunch of them that I have stuck somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
We had one with the adventures of Manny the podcast dog, which, my buddy's not here anymore, but yeah, I've got a bunch of them. So
I forgot I even recorded those.
Yeah, you did. I think you just did it in one day and said, "Get that guy off my back," blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden,
I do remember you sent me this email with a whole list of things to record.
Yeah,
I just blew through them all one day.
Yeah, it was just things that I kept trying to make up stuff in case we were going to do something. That way, I knew that. I said, okay, he's going to get motivated, so I better make sure that everything is on there. The Adventure of Sewer Man and whatever I could come up with. Anyway, but hey, speaking of sewers and bad ideas, I think it's time for the weird and stupid news.
It's the weird and stupid news with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling. Yeah, the fact that weird and stupid news generally has to do with bodily fluids, then the sewer is the right place to go.
Yeah, I don't know how much fluid it is tonight. I think we have some more weird, and I guess it's sprinkled in with some stupid tonight. But in Charlotte, North Carolina, according to York County Sheriff's Office, a man was arrested after being accused of using a pistol-shaped controller from the 1980s Nintendo game Duck Hunt to rob a business.
Nice.
The suspect allegedly showed the clerk the fake gun, which had been painted, and took $300 from the register. The painted Duck Hunt gun was also used in a South Carolina robbery as well. Authorities said that they found the suspect down the street and arrested him before he could use another gun from a 1990s arcade video game, Area 51. Anyway, that's not true, but I made up that Area 51, but you could probably guess that. But Anyway, also in stupid news, and this is looks like the shoe is on the other foot in this situation. Thieves broke into a shop in Peru and stole 200 sneakers, but they were only for the right foot. That's right.
Wait. Okay. I'm trying to envision this.
There you go. Let's think about this.
Did they go in and just steal a big, like there was just a big pile of sneakers and they just stole from the pile and they all happened to be the right foot? Or was it like boxes and boxes of shoes and they opened each one and only took out the right shoe?
I don't know. I don't think they intentionally did that. It's not a very good business practice to only take the right shoe, unless you have some kind of benefit for people who don't have, I don't know.
I was going to say, this is the difference between, the question I ask is the difference between a theft,
yes,
and vandalism.
That's true.
Theft, you go in, you steal a bunch of shoes.
Yeah.
You don't know their only right foot until you get them home and don't know what to do with them now because they're worthless because you can't sell only one shoe. Or is it vandalism, meaning somebody purposely went in and opened every single box and only took the right foot?
I know. I saw a photo of the back room, and the back room of the shoe store was like totally trashed. I mean, you can see boxes open, those little paper tissues, all over the place.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but apparently they had a getaway. They had a security footage that shows the thieves breaking the padlock on the third attempt and making off with the merchandise on a tricycle.
On a tricycle?
That's what it says.
How many shoes did they steal?
They said it was worth. They said that it was 200 shoes. They said the highest was
200 shoes.
They said the highest was worth $13,000 of 200 shoes that are only for the right foot. So, they said law enforcement is investigating the crime. They said with the footage and the fingerprints, we'll be able to locate those individuals, said the local police sheriff. And of course, many social media folks chimed in.
Oh, of course.
One commented, the peg leg gang said they needed more shoes. Another person posted, we might be looking for a left-leaning criminal.
Oh.
And the very last one, another commenter observed that they might work at IHOP. And I spare you the rest. That was stupid news.
This has been the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling. Okay,
do you believe there was no poo or sewer or bodily fluid?
No bodily fluids at all. I'm so surprised. So 2 things to add to your stupid news.
Yes.
Number 1 is, so if you're listening out there and you order some shoes online and you get 2 right foot, you may be buying from the crooks.
That's true. That may be true.
So number 2 is, you talked about the guy holding the Nintendo duck hunt gun.
Yes.
To rob a bank. Are you aware that people have painted actual firearms to look like the Nintendo Zapper?
Oh, that's scary. That's kind of scary. Imagine
that is a thing.
Yeah,
they've painted real guns in that white and gray and with red accents.
That could cause some issues at the arcade.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, it really could. Really could. Well, folks, tonight we're going to talk about the Flash movie that came out about a
Yes.
week ago, about the time of this podcast. And we're going to kind of dive into it, talk about it. Yes, just so you know, there will be spoiler alerts. So everybody's listening or watching on our YouTube, make your comments as we have this conversation.
Absolutely. We would love to hear what your thoughts are, good, bad, or indifferent. And if you disagree with us, definitely comment. I mean, we might bother to read it.
Yeah.
We'll probably actually end up agreeing with you later, going, yeah, you're probably right. You were wrong.
More than likely. We did have a fun podcast, a live stream this past Saturday.
Oh yeah.
With the, I'm gonna let you talk about.
Yeah, that is with. We are now part of the Christian Nerd HQ podcast network, and you can go to christiannerdhq.com to see a list of all of the podcasts on the network. There's one that releases every single day of the week. We release on Fridays. And then you can also watch videos that are being produced by a conglomeration of all the podcasters. And last weekend, we did a review of The Flash. And Mike and I got to put our 2 cents in to that conversation. But tonight, it's just us. So we can dive a little deeper into some of the things we thought that we might not have gotten to share during that particular video recording.
And many of you out there is wondering, wait a minute, you guys on a Christian Nerd headquarters, blah, blah, blah. Well, I was surprised they let us in too. Okay. It doesn't change our standards the way we do things. So, it's all right. But we have fun. We had some really good people over there, very knowledgeable. BB
Nate, who has been on our show before.
Yes, he's
the resident comic book DC nerd in the group.
Yeah.
And he still reads the comic books.
Yes.
So, yep, great kid.
Is Tatooine Sons?
Yep, he's part of Tatooine Sons.
Yeah, okay.
Then we have the Reverend and the Reprobate, who are a bit like us, except they do interviews with people that they have no reason to interview these people, but they get to interview them anyway. They often do stupid and crazy things just like we do. So if you've ever listened to their podcast, you'll know that Danley smacks his lips a lot when he's eating candy during the show.
That's professional.
Very, very professional.
I do have my drink, I got my drink on, but try not to slurp on the microphone.
Yep.
So,
but yeah, great group of folks over there.
So a shout out to them. And we're going to talk about The Flash. And
should we start with the box office numbers?
Yeah, let's do the box office. That was telling. Go ahead and talk.
Yes. So I don't know if this was surprising or not.
Yeah.
It didn't surprise me. Yeah, now, a couple of things to know. This past weekend, there were several pretty large movie releases. Disney Pixar had a movie called Elemental that was released, which I was surprised that they tried to release a big Disney movie on the same day that Warner Brothers was releasing The Flash. Because I pretty much expected The Flash to win the box office, and it did.
Yeah.
Now, what you need to know about that is it won the weekend with $55 million domestically. That's pretty low.
Yeah.
That's and then it only took in like another 75 million over the opening weekend worldwide.
Yeah.
So a pretty low showing for a movie that most people are saying they spent $200 million to make and probably another 100 million for advertising.
Yeah.
So if this thing doesn't make 300 million, it doesn't break even. So that's not great. But then Elemental, which was, the big kid focused
Yeah.
Disney movie, animated show, it only brought in less than 30 million domestically.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of I really figured it was going to be closer to The Flash
Yeah.
than it was. But, I think it could have had a great weekend if it hadn't opened on this past weekend. Let's see. There were some other, which is interesting. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse domestically brought in another 27 million, almost as much as
On top of what they've already made.
Exactly. And what's
Yeah.
this week 3 for them?
Yeah.
They have almost worldwide. They've almost hit $500 million.
I mean, that's a big deal.
So I expected them to cross the $500 million mark this weekend.
This is the first time. I mean, I don't honestly. Do you remember a feature film that was actually a Marvel animation? I'm trying to think back when there was the last one. There's tons of them on.
Well,
but I'm talking about a featured film.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Did well. I don't know that it did this well.
Yeah.
But it did really well.
Okay.
But before
that was a feature film. Yeah.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know that there was.
I don't think there was one.
Another one that kind of, I don't know that this one surprised me so much, but Rise of the Beasts came in with another 20 million domestically.
Interesting.
Which is a pretty big drop from last weekend's opening.
Yeah.
But I mean, with what it was up against this weekend, that's really good, I think. And then Little Mermaid brought in another 11 million. So
interesting.
The brand new Disney animated brought in only 3 times as much as a live action Disney movie that's been out for 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's not good at all.
And then there were some other movies that also came out this weekend that did even poorer. I think The Blackening, which is kind of a weird, spoofy, black-led horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, it did less than $1 million. I don't know that it was expected to do a whole lot, but I figured it would do better than $1 million. Then it would at least break the $1 million mark domestically. But the big story is The Flash only making $55 million domestically on its opening weekend. That does not bode well for the future of the movie.
You think I was kind of wondering. I was reading some other pundits, and part of me think that is it Flash? Is there a problem with the movie Flash itself, or does it have to do that it just has a terrible case of timing? And an audience, some don't want to invest 2 hours in their lives because they don't know if it's going to matter moving forward.
So, okay, timing. It depends on how you're asking that.
Yeah.
If you mean timing that it was up against some other pretty big movies, or that movies that should have been big, or up against other movies that just released that were still in the theater, I don't feel like timing mattered there.
Yeah.
It was delayed significantly. It doesn't really have anywhere to lead to because we all know the Snyderverse is going away.
And I think that may be some of
those
it.
two things.
Those
two things I definitely think had a big impact.
I think if the movie came out before the whole, before the whole takeover, I think it may have had a bigger showing.
If it had come out before we knew that the Snyderverse was definitely dead.
Yeah.
I think you're right. If this had come out before James Gunn was hired, before that was a done deal, I think this movie could have done better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think Wonder Woman 84 did better than this.
Yeah. And that Yeah. That
And
wasn't.
I'm reasonably sure it did double this, and it
Yeah,
was
I'm sure it
considered
did.
not a great showing,
No.
but I thought it was a decent movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Now The Flash, yeah, I think part of it could be timing, like you're saying. If it had been released earlier in the big scheme of things, I think
Yeah.
it could have done better. I do think that is part of the issue. I also
Yeah.
think part of it is that it's not part of the DC Trinity.
Yeah.
It's not Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
he's a B level character at best
Yeah.
in most people's in the wider world.
Talking about the mainstream people know
In
Superman, people know
mainstream people,
Batman. Yeah.
yeah, mainstream people know Batman, they know Superman, they know
Yeah.
Wonder Woman. They may or may not know Flash. They probably don't know Cyborg.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you
Well,
talk
yeah,
about
definitely.
nerds, we all know
Yeah.
those, and the Flash definitely has a nerd following.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah,
people
exactly.
where the Flash is their superhero. I mean, look at Big Bang Theory.
I was
You
thinking the same thing.
yeah,
Yeah. They're all
Sheldon.
they're all
They
wearing the
all
same
wanted
costume.
they all wanted to be Flash. Nobody wanted to be Batman or
No.
Superman.
No.
They all wanted to be Flash. And Sheldon definitely, that was his favorite character, was the Flash.
Exactly.
So there's definitely a fan base there. But I just don't know that it's big enough for this level of movie.
Yeah.
And if the movie had spent half this budget, and raked in, 100 and what did I say, 130 worldwide,
Yeah.
they'd probably call it a success.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they spent twice.
Well, I mean, you had Michael Keaton was in it, and Ezra Miller, of course, he was, they needed him because he was, of course, how
He
much
was
money
the
they
Flash.
spent, plus how much money they spent trying to get him out of trouble. I don't know.
Well,
But
I think that is part of the other. I think that suppressed the wider nerd following.
You think so?
I think the fact that
Yeah.
Ezra Miller was involved.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that also affected the wider world audience. The people who wouldn't necessarily say they're nerds, but they go
Yeah.
see superhero movies because they just want to go see movies.
Yeah, and of course, there's been so much media attention on Ezra Miller that most people leave a bad, taste in their mouth. And of course, the people who love Michael Keaton, well, that's Generation X. That's us. So we'll go
And
see it because of Michael Keaton. Yeah,
we'll go see it because of Michael Keaton. However, we're also the people that will go, Ezra Miller is gross.
Yeah,
because of what he's done over the past year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, that's just who we are. We're cranky old guys now.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we go like, you're an idiot kid. You should not have done any of those things.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you thinking?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's probably a combination of all the things.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any one thing you can point to say, this is absolutely the reason The Flash only made $55 million domestically.
Yeah.
I think there's just too many. I think there's too many fingers to point. It is the Spider-Man. It is the Spider-Man meme where he's pointing at himself.
Exactly. Pointing at himself and Pauly Shore. But
oh my gosh. So can we, since you went there, that is the first thing I told Mike when we talked the first time about The Flash. The first thing I said was, man, Ezra Miller was just channeling Pauly Shore for that one part.
Exactly.
So if you're not familiar with the movie, if you haven't seen it yet, if you haven't watched any of the trailers, if you're living under a rock, Ezra Miller plays Barry and Barry. He plays both Flashes.
That's right.
The Flash of his universe and the Flash of this alternate universe that he accidentally creates or goes to. I'm a little confused on that.
Yeah.
Little timey-wimey,
Wibbly
wibbly-wobbly.
wobbly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so he's two berries, and one of them is definitely like Pauly Shore.
Yeah, definitely. I cringed when I saw the introduction of his second character just hopping and skipping across the street through the window. I knew all suddenly, okay, this is bad. This is bad. I mean, I know they wanted to kind of have they want to show the difference between, him matured enough because he lost his parents and versus, more of a childlike Barry who still had his parents and he was spoiled and all that. But
yeah,
I think it was kind of to an extreme as far as I was concerned, at least my sensibility. So I think Ezra Miller did a great job playing Barry Allen.
He did.
I think he did a good job. We had this comment going back to what you said before, because we had in our panel, they was asking, did this affect how you watched the movie, knowing Ezra Miller was in all this, had all this turmoil and all these issues from before. And when I was asked about it, I thought, there's so many times that I really can differ. It depends. Okay. And I'm not going to mention any other actors. There's some actors that, characters I grew up with as a kid and, and I love that character. And I find out later they've done some really heinous stuff. Well, it changes. Yeah. I can't no longer watch that or accept that. To the extent of Ezra Miller, what he did was just stupid and dumb. But for some reason, I could separate him and the character, and watch it for what it was. And I don't know the psyche involved in that for me. It's just maybe it's the measure of stupidity. But I'm gonna still watch the show, and he's still the Flash. So I don't know. How about you on this?
Yeah, I'm a little like that. I mean, I feel like I've always been able to separate the actor from the character that they portray. As long as now, when I say I don't like an actor, it's not that I disagree with now I might disagree with their lifestyle and who they, what they do. But that's not the reason I say I don't like an actor.
Yeah.
Like I don't like Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Now, he's probably a super nice guy in real life. I probably don't. I mean, he and I might not agree on a lot of life things.
Yeah,
but that's not why that's not why I don't like him. I don't like his acting style.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he is what he does what he does. He's good at what he does. I just don't like what he does.
Well, I mean, it's not your style. I mean,
it's not my style.
Not your style.
Exactly.
I get that. I get that.
So there's actors like that, and this is where Ezra Miller comes in. I actually like Ezra Miller's acting style. I think he's a really good actor in general.
Yeah.
And that's where do I separate the two? I think for the most part I do. If I can accept what they're doing on screen, if I don't object to the things they're doing on screen, I think I'm fine with they did stupid things in their life. I would never hire them again.
Yeah, exactly.
But that doesn't mean somebody else might not. Might hire them again. But I think I can separate it pretty well, their lifestyle from their acting ability.
Yeah.
And this is something I threw up that I threw out, is that Rust is going to be finished and released.
You told me.
Alec Baldwin, who quite literally shot the director of photography on the movie Rust. I think it's his fault. Partly I think it's not his fault.
Yeah.
I don't think that movie should ever be released.
No.
Because of the horrific things that happened on set.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
like Alec Baldwin, I don't agree with him politically. I think he's kind of a jerk to a lot of people in
Yeah, same
life.
here.
Um, he's a really good actor.
I agree with that. Yeah,
And so I'm fine with all that. I don't think that movie should be released because of what happened on set.
and they said, yeah,
The Flash, apparently, he was pretty decent on set.
yeah. From
Nothing
my
bad
understanding,
happened on set. Everybody
yeah,
seemed to really like him, and then later found out he's
yeah, exactly.
got this crazy stuff he did.
Hmm.
So I think those are two separate things. But just knowing Hollywood, I mean, if Rust is going to be released, then I think a Hollywood actor can do just about anything they want to and still be able to get a movie made.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Somebody's going to pay for it. Somebody's going to produce it. Somebody's going to release it. Whether they should or not, it's just going to happen.
Well, yeah, and of course, of course. This film. Um, we were listening to BB Nate, and I like the comment he was talking about. He was talking about the film, and he put it poetically that who was the real villain in this, and he mentioned
yes.
it, and he said time. And
Time
I
is
thought,
the villain.
and I thought that is a very good perspective to it. And if you think about it, General Sod, he was a bad guy, but not
He
really
wasn't
in
the
the
villain of
scheme
the
of what's.
movie.
Yeah, exactly. Even the I guess the time, I don't know, the what would you call it, the villain berry, the one
I
within
think they call it the Dark Flash.
the dark flash.
I think that's the name that people have been calling it. I
Yeah,
don't know if that is a comic book thing or if that's
yeah,
just what they've been calling him
yeah,
in the Flash movie. But yeah, the
yeah,
Dark Flash. Yeah, he's of the opinion the Dark Flash really isn't the villain either. And I think I kind of agree with him.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he's kind of a bad guy because he's doing all these things and he kind of caused a bunch of it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he's not exactly the bad guy.
Yeah,
Uh, but he's not. I don't feel like they were trying to make him a sympathetic villain.
yeah.
You
No,
know,
not really.
like, you think of some of the recent movies where they try to make the villain sympathetic.
I
I
like
don't think he
Thanos.
was like
Yeah,
Thanos. Like, some
yeah,
people say they were trying to make him sympathetic.
yeah.
I don't think the Dark Flash comes off as a sympathetic villain either.
No,
Um,
I don't.
but I get where he's saying that, really the bad guy in this movie, the big bad, is time itself.
Yeah,
And you know, and there's a big question mark. Did the villain get defeated in this movie? Um, or did it
yeah.
come down to a stalemate? And I'm not sure the answer to that.
I think
But
there's a lot of the answer. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks from this movie. How much of this movie? I mean, um, this is, I mean, this is kind of a flashpoint. This is
yeah,
it's the flashpoint. Basically, everything has changed. I
yeah,
mean, we can skip all over the point against folks. This is spoilers.
yeah,
You go from where you have Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne, you have
yes,
you have Michael Keaton as, Bruce Wayne, and then
yeah.
hey, who shows up at the end? Nipple Man George Clooney.
Oh my
I
gosh.
read an article about him. He said he was so embarrassed that he wouldn't let his kids watch him as Batman. But he said, but he came back because he just had a sense of humor about it. He
Yeah.
just, and I thought that was kind of funny. I thought it was funny that George Clooney showed up, at the end, and Barry
I
is
thought
like,
it I thought it was funny, but I would really wanted Michael Keaton to step out of that car
oh yeah,
at
me
the end.
too, me too. I mean,
I think that would have been more poetic
mm-hmm,
and would have been less of a punchline.
yeah,
I mean, you took the most ridiculous, goofiest Batman
Oh
option you
yeah, exactly.
could,
Yeah,
and you put him in the end of the movie. It was a joke.
yeah.
It wasn't poetic. It
No, it wasn't.
wasn't a happy moment. It turned the whole thing into a joke.
Yeah, Inside Out. I totally. Yeah, I totally. Well, and I think that's part of the deal, right? If this movie's not going anywhere, then how do you end it? Because it
Yeah.
becomes one big long joke. And for me, it's
Yeah.
like I, the it was very frustrating for me to see them keep going back in the timeline, trying to prevent Michael Keaton Batman and Sasha. I don't remember Sasha's last name, who plays Supergirl, Callie.
I'm
But
not sure how she pronounces her last name.
there are several
But
times they try to go back and keep them from being killed,
right.
and they do it over and over and over and over again.
Which is the
and
whole point of the Dark Flash.
exactly.
He's done it so many times that his, like, you see just like a piece of shrapnel breaks off of him, and you see that he now has gray hair, and he's an old man Flash who's been doing this for decades.
Yeah.
Not multiple times. He's been doing it over and over again. He's been living the last 5 minutes over and over again for decades.
Yeah, exactly. It's and I forget what they called it. It was some kind of a time lock. There was something that no matter what you did, it would continue to loop. There was nothing you could do to change it. And there was a term for that.
Yeah, it was a fixed point in time that was
yeah.
going to happen. That's not the term they used. They had a word for it, but I don't remember what it was. But that this was in that world, in that Earth, Supergirl is going to die every time.
Yeah.
There's no way you can say it.
I thought Sasha did a good job playing Supergirl.
I thought she did too.
And I thought it was good. I mean, yes, I am, Henry Cavill. I wish he would have had a cameo in it. I was surprised that Gadot had a role in it because all the rumors. I mean, I loved seeing her. I think she's great.
It was cut,
but we've read everywhere that they were cut. But sure enough, I mean, like I said, I think she's an awesome Wonder Woman. I think I really like her as an actress. But back to Sasha, I thought it was interesting where, she was sent to protect Kyle, and unfortunately, he was killed by the hands of Zod when they found him in his pod, and he, as a baby. So it changed that whole universe that she basically was the super Kryptonian who was supposed to be there to save.
And I liked that you mentioned earlier, this follows some of the Flashpoint Paradox storyline.
Yeah.
Now, if you watched the animated version or if you read the comics, they both changed several things. And one of the things that they changed in this one was because in the comics, I don't remember if this is a thing. I don't remember how it was in the animated show. In the comics, there was a Kryptonian. He was captured. He was at a secret black site, and he was kept out of the sun.
Yes, exactly.
But it was Kal-El. It was what we would have assumed is Superman. So in this, they basically followed the same exact story.
Yeah, exactly.
But they made it the Supergirl version, which I thought that was a good change. Knowing that Henry Cavill was not going to be in the movie.
Yeah,
I thought it was the right choice.
I think even if he was in the movie, if he had like a cameo like Gadot did before and after or whatever, I think still would have been. I would still say it would be appropriate. It would still work. in
Oh,
that
absolutely.
same, yeah. Because
and now that we're dealing with a multiversal system, infinite Earths kind of idea, there's nothing that says she can't show up in the future DCU as the same actress.
because they really have opened it up. I mean,
Yes.
if Gunn has a wild hair and say, I really would like to bring a couple of those people back from the Snyderverse, he could do it. Now, is he going to do it? I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, he could. Now he has the universe's total. I mean, that's the thing about Flashpoint and Flash. It changes everything.
Yeah.
And there you've got all these rich resources now. What they're going to do with it, I don't know. There was talks, and I don't know how much it's true. Is Ezra Miller going to continue as a Flash? I doubt it. I think Sasha Cohen, I think she would. I would love to see her continue being Supergirl. I think she would do a good job.
I think so. And there is supposed to be a Supergirl movie. So unless they want a tall, blue-haired, tall, blonde-eyed, blue-haired Supergirl, she's a good choice. She did a great job in the part. I thought her acting chops are right up there with anybody in this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely can hold. Like, when you saw her in the suit, even when you saw her out of the suit, you bought in that she was Supergirl.
Yeah, exactly.
It just, I don't know, just something about her presence, the way she carried herself, it really fit well.
I think as far as touching scenes, the most touching scenes is, the one, of course, is Barry and his mother. The whole thing was about, the whole idea was for him to save his mom. And you would see, Barry, you would see the past, this loving, caring mom who just has a lot of life to her.
Yeah.
And you see that. And then, of course, finally coming to the point where he knows that he can't change the timeline, and for everything to go back, he has to go back to where it was in the beginning, he thought, and and had to rearrange
undo what he fixed.
Unfix things that he knew that was going to lead to his mom's murder again.
I did like the little bit where he fixed the thing he broke, but then he still did something that changed the future, where he put the cans up on the top shelf so that his dad had to look up on the security film, which I thought, okay, that's a nice play. That was a good play. And that being their excuse for bringing in nipple Batman.
Exactly.
I thought that was a little goofy, but I thought it was an interesting change that they made. One of the things they did different from the comics. In the comics, I believe Batman is Thomas Wayne.
Yes, that's true.
And I was hearing also, okay, in the animation as well. I couldn't recall.
Yeah.
Been a while since I've read or seen either one of those.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere or heard someone say that they think the reason that they didn't go the Thomas Wayne route, which they could have done, they could have made Keaton Thomas Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing
which could have, still could have made sense. But their idea was that they were afraid the general audience wouldn't get it.
That's true.
It would be too fanboy kind of, you'd have to understand the whole process and what went on to understand why he's not Bruce Wayne, he's Thomas Wayne. Wait, what? What does that make? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But they decided they weren't going to go that route because it would be too confusing to the general audience. And I don't think it was a bad change. I think it was I think it was
fine. I think the big part for me is the disappointment is like I said, seeing Michael Keaton and the cowl all over again was awesome. The
Oh,
nod
absolutely.
to the Tim Burton, the whole, Batman theme song,
Yes.
that eventually became the Batman animated series theme song, and just singing the Batcave and the Batmobile again, and just everything from that era that I grew up in was fantastic. And it's just really sad to me that we won't have the opportunity for Michael Keaton to become that beyond Batman, that to be the Bruce Wayne who's the mentor. He doesn't fight crime anymore, but he mentors, and then he has the financial means to give them resources. And I think that was something they were kind of playing with, because remember, they were going to come out with Batgirl, and he was going to be a mentor in that.
He was going to be. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that would have been brilliant.
Yeah.
Doesn't
fit in this plan, but yeah.
Well, what I was about to say is, I mean, with the idea that we have a Batman that's not going to fit into the DCU.
Yeah.
We already know that. Reeves' Batman movies are not going to be part of Gunn's universe.
No.
So there's no reason we can't have a Batman Beyond movie.
Exactly.
With Michael Keaton as older Batman. We've seen him as older Batman. It's doable.
Yeah, it is doable.
He still pulls off the role.
I think it's a missed opportunity if they don't do that.
I'm holding out hope that they do.
Me too. It's a missed opportunity if they do not explore the Beyond Batman, because I think it's brilliant. I know that the next major film with Batman is the one where I think it's the one where he's with his son.
Damian it's supposed to be a Brave and the Bold.
Brave and the Bold.
The comic book series.
So he'll have to be a bit older in this. You'd have to be
he'll have to be a little bit older anyway. I think you and I were talking about that. I don't know that he needs to be a let's see. I'm not sure how old he needs to be in Brave and the Bold, but the Reeves Batman doesn't fit. He's too young.
No, he's too young.
And I don't know that he needs to be as old as the Affleck Batman.
He does. No.
So I think it needs to be somewhere in between.
I think he'd be in his 30s.
Yeah,
at least in his 30s.
I don't feel like anybody who has played Batman is a good fit.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree. If they do the Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne, that would be Michael Keaton. Thumbs up. But yeah, I agree with that statement. Yeah, the other we have to mention before we do anything else, before we end the show here in a bit, CGI. We got to touch on CGI. Okay.
Oh my goodness, the CGI was so weird.
I mean, the babies flying down. The babies. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
Some of it was so amazing. Some of it was so weird. And the directors claim
I know.
that some of the CGI was done weird on purpose.
Yeah, that's a good excuse.
That's a good excuse. Now, I will say, okay, so I've heard two things on the babies thing.
Yeah.
I've heard that the CGI on the babies is not good. Now, let me say, one I've heard, one I conjectured. I brought it up. One I heard was the CGIs on the babies weren't as good because when Flash is in his Speed Force, things don't look normal. So so that's on purpose.
Okay.
So that's one theory.
Okay.
My other theory is that because mothers don't want to see babies falling out of a building or being stuck in a microwave.
That's true. That is kind of
that CGI
disturbing.
babies looked weird on purpose so it didn't look like real babies were falling out of a building or being stuck in a microwave.
Well, yeah, I had a hard time having compassion for babies that look like they weren't babies, but something out of a coloring book.
Yeah, yeah,
Water painting, watercoloring book, or something like
yeah.
that.
It definitely took me out of the moment.
Yeah, definitely me too.
You knew there were definitely no babies were harmed in the making of this film.
No, or dog.
I do think it's funny that the dog looked amazing,
Yeah,
and
he
the
looked
babies looked creepy.
Yes.
So that's one of the. So my thing on his comment of, well, when Barry's in the Speed Force, things don't look normal. Then why does the dog look perfect?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he looked. Yeah, I mean, the end credits were all focused on the dog.
On the dog.
Falling.
Even in the movie, even in the beginning of the movie, the dog looked amazing.
Yeah,
he looked amazing the whole way down. But the babies looked like they were plastic, rubber. You know what they looked like? They reminded me of Stretch Armstrong.
Oh yeah,
but in a baby shape.
In baby shape, yeah. That makes sense. It makes
sense. Oh my
sense.
goodness, that makes so much more sense now.
I'm surprised they used Cabbage Patch Kids, but go ahead.
As far as the CGI goes, the other thing that was weird about the CGI was near the end, where we see the worlds colliding, and we see the cameos of old actors from previous incarnations of Superman and Batman, and
we see Christopher Reeves, we see
see the previous Reeves. What's his name? James Reeves. I can't remember his name.
Christopher Reeves, and then there's the other one. His
the
last
black
name
and white.
Reeves,
yeah, the Superman from the black and white days. I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Reeves.
We even saw the 1966 Batman and Robin. We saw them, which was interesting to me. You have even the. Go ahead. I'll let you say his name. Go ahead. I know you want to. Go ahead and say his name.
Cage Batman.
Nicolas Cage Batman.
Superman.
Superman. You got
Nick
me.
Cage Superman. And that is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. But see, in that scene, everybody looks well. Okay, I will say the black and white Superman that looked really good. That CGI was solid.
No, that's yes.
But when Christopher Reeves came up, it wasn't quite as good.
Everybody looks like they had plastic surgery. That's even
their skin was a little too smooth.
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage looked weird.
Yes, totally weird. I mean, he is weird, but
he didn't look human. He didn't look. He didn't look real. He had a little of the Stretch Armstrong baby thing going on.
Yeah, I know.
Christopher Reeve looked less like that.
Yeah,
and the black and white Batman, he looked legit.
Yeah, he did.
Now, the other thing I thought was weird was Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck in the whole movie was weird.
Yeah.
When he was, when you saw his whole body leaning on the car, it is obvious he is not our Batman anymore.
No.
He did not have the bulk.
No.
Because he bulked up for Batman.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He looked thin. He did not look like he was in nearly the shape he was when during the Justice League movie. But when he was Batman in the bat suit, his lower jaw didn't quite look like it was supposed to be there. I'm not sure he ever put on the bat suit.
You think it was a superimposed somehow?
I think his chin was composited onto an actor's face.
Interesting.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm more than willing to be wrong.
Well, he definitely didn't have Yeah, he definitely did not have the physique that he did before.
And when he had the suit on, he had the physique.
Yeah.
But when you saw him as Bruce Wayne, he did not have the physique.
No. I even think the
I
bat
think
suit was I even think the bat suit was strange too. Something seemed off with it too
it was a little
in the
different. They
beginning.
did
Yeah.
it did have some changes.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same suit. They
Yeah.
definitely created a suit for this movie.
Yeah.
Uh, but I have the feeling that he wasn't on set for any of those shots.
I think the thing that we probably need to push into is the post credit, which by the way, I didn't know it was going to have a post credit. So when I walked away, I thought, oh my goodness, they pulled a Marvel. Why would they pull a Marvel if they're not going to continue the story? So I had to go on YouTube and try to find it. Everyone had it taken down from YouTube. I couldn't find the post credit scenes. And when I did, they all was in Hindi. So that was frustrating. But I got the gist of it. And of course, it all has to do with Aquaman,
Yeah.
Mimosa, which,
Yeah,
he's,
it was definitely an Aquaman commercial.
preparing you
Now,
for the next,
now listening to Tatooine Sons, I don't
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that BB Nate got to share this on our live stream, but listening to Tatooine Sons today or yesterday, he makes the comment he thinks that we have a different world and that it shows that this Aquaman is not the Aquaman that we saw in Justice League,
Mm-hmm.
that he's not the reformed, I've finally taken my rightful place as king, as ruler
Yeah.
of Atlantis. He's still the drunk, rough, rough around the edges Aquaman we saw
Yeah.
when Batman found him to begin with. Now that's his thought. Now we'll have to wait till the movie comes out to see if that's accurate.
Yeah.
I don't know that it is, but that's his reasoning why that it's important to the why it was important to the movie. My whole thought the whole time I was going, this is lame. I don't know why I stayed.
So the whole ending, basically, what's your thoughts? Is the ending just an advertisement to get us to Aquaman, or is it to get us to Aquaman and explain that what's happening that's going to lead us into the whole James Gunn, universe?
I don't think
Or
it points to James Gunn's universe at all.
yeah,
I think the only thing it might kind of point to the fact that he was trying to explain to Aquaman what had happened, and
yeah,
that Bruce Wayne wasn't the Bruce Wayne that they both knew.
yeah,
That was, I mean, the only thing it can point to is, yes, we have a multiverse. Yes, or whatever. We have
yeah,
Elseworlds,
yeah,
whatever
whatever
DC
you want
calls
to
it.
call it.
That is a thing,
Yeah,
and that, everybody exists, but they're not always the same person.
yeah.
Which I think it's fine, but I don't know that you needed a post-credit scene to explain that.
No, I don't think so either. You could have ended it right
You
there and
could have
then
just
went,
ended it. I didn't feel like the post-credit scene did anything. I don't feel like it built up Aquaman.
no,
I mean, unless we're gonna see Aquaman in the first scene of the new Aquaman, he's a drunk again.
yeah.
But I don't.
But we did all of that already. I mean, do we want to see
Yeah,
that again? I mean,
I don't know that we need to.
again, I think it's gonna. I don't know. I think we're gonna see the same situation. I love Mimosa, so he's awesome. But I'm concerned that this Aquaman movie coming up is going to fall in the same box office
I think
situation
it
as
will.
Flash. I think it goes back to the audience. They don't feel a connection anymore because
Why
if
do I
this
need to
is
see this
why
movie?
do I need to
Because
see
it's
this
not going to be
movie?
irrelevant to anything going forward.
Exactly. And
I mean,
that's what I think.
That's part of the brilliance of Marvel is, oh, dang it, I have to go watch this thing that I don't want to watch because it's going to be significant later to something else.
I know it. Yes.
I mean, that is
I don't want to
brilliant
watch
marketing.
She-Hulk, but I know it's going to end up lead to something else.
Yeah, I know I need to know about her, and I need to understand how she works in this universe because she's going to start showing up in other things.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that is a brilliant marketing plan by Marvel. It's as brilliant as making, as Transformers, the original Transformers motion picture, killing off all of the Transformers so that they could sell brand new toys.
Exactly.
I mean, but DC doesn't have that going for him because
no, they don't.
If I don't see Aquaman, it won't matter.
No, it will not matter.
It will not matter going forward. Now, I probably do have to watch Creature Commandos, as much as I think that is dumb.
Yeah.
I probably have to watch it because it's probably going to be significant in some way in James Gunn's future DCU.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of useless, no, I'm just kidding. Speaking of useless, no, we appreciate everybody listening and watching, and, go ahead and give our little, our little where you can find us. And
sure. You can find the Speaking Nerdy podcast on all of your favorite podcasting apps.
Yes.
You can also find anything that we have at speakingnerdy.com. All of our social links to our YouTube channel, and links to our podcast options.
You mean I can listen to you guys everywhere?
Everywhere.
And how do I do that again?
Going to speakingnerdy.com.
Speaking what?
speakingnerdy.com.
Oh my goodness. Did you hear that, folks?
Oh my gosh.
I
think we're done.
I think we've been done about, I don't know, an hour and 17 minutes ago.
This has been the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre always, Mr. Ricky Poe. Nice.
The Flash.
And I was going to do one where, it actually showed a man flashing in the beginning, but I decided that wouldn't go very well on the YouTubes. Or the people on the audio podcast wouldn't have to worry about it, but the YouTubes would have. And the Facebooks. That wouldn't have worked out too well.